iOS 27 has been in beta, developer beta, for pretty much 1 month at this point. The update was released on June 8th to developers, and while it's July 7th, tomorrow it will be 1 month. In this video, I'm going to talk about what I loved about this software, sort of give an honest opinion about iOS 27 1 month later. Hi everyone, Mr. Hawkins with the Tech Rundown, and this is iOS 27 1 month later, my honest opinion. Now, iOS 27 doesn't bring a ton of features for older devices. This is my iPhone 12, which I have the developer beta running on, the developer beta 3, which I'm currently running at the time of this video, which got released yesterday. iOS 27, while it doesn't bring a ton of features for older phones, there is a couple features that I really like with this particular update. And the first one, within appearance, under liquid glass, we have this all new slider. You can slide the slider all the way back, and you can slide it all the way forward. This is a liquid glass slider. That is a really nice change with iOS 27. Another feature is when you power off the device, you have an all new sort of look for powering off the device. You see the sort of slide to power off feature also has liquid glass as well. And you can press and hold to get in recovery mode instead of the old volume up, volume down, and power. However, I will only be doing that just to power on the device. Another feature within iOS 27 is if we go into Safari, and Safari has an update. Up at the top here within Safari, you will see we have an all-new sort of menu up here. So basically, within iOS 27, there is an all-new menu in Safari. We have in Safari we have a 4-tab grid layout. We have sort of toggles for favorites, bookmarks, our reading list, and also history. And one of my favorite features that I like is all of the sort of toggles sort of blend right in with the wallpaper instead of being on a solid black background. Now, if I go into a website, say for example, Apple, for instance, the tab bar within iOS 27 within Safari is floating. If you guys remember 5 years ago with the iOS 15 developer betas, though while I was not testing the iOS 15 betas and I did not have a YouTube channel at the time, there was one feature I recall with iOS 15, the tab bar in Safari was floating. This looks exactly like that in every way, even the fact that we have the tab switcher, whereas in iOS 26 there was the 3-dot menu. I hope Apple keeps it like that because I really, really, really like the look of this better than iOS 26, how they added the skin around the tab bar. I actually prefer it floating than not floating. I think this looks really, really great. Leave a comment down below. What do you think of this change within iOS 27? Now, another feature within iOS 27, you now have an Apple TV remote app. So if we search for remote here, you now have an Apple TV remote. So if we go into it here, you also have landscape mode. Though for some reason now that isn't working properly. Let's see if it's working within weather. Okay, so it is working within weather. Let's see if it's working within Apple Music. and it is working within Apple Music as well. So you do have landscape apps. I don't know why it's not working within TV, the Apple TV remote app. That's probably a bug in this current beta, which is developer beta 3, which I'm currently running as of the time I'm making this video. Now, for Apple Intelligence devices, you get an all-new Siri app, and you also get the update where Siri comes out of the dynamic island or comes out of the top if you have a notch like the 16E or iPhone 17E. However, you don't get any split screen functionality. However, there is a really cool feature within iOS 27. So if I unlock with Face ID here, and we go into it, you now have the ability to put the subject of the time you can now put the time directly next to the date. You can see here I have this wallpaper of the Golden Gate Bridge. You can put the time next to the date. That is a really cool feature in iOS 27. In fact, I really love that feature. It is a really nice feature on the iPhone. So leave a comment down below. What do you think of that feature within iOS 27? And another feature I noticed within iOS 27 is within light mode. This was added with beta 3. You now have, whenever you flip on light mode, the flashlight and camera toggles now get light. And the sort of glyph icons within them turn black. That is a really nice change within iOS 27 Developer Beta 3. You also have a feature where you have, if you have a timer, it now comes out of the top as if you have a dynamic island, even though you don't. For iPhones that don't have the island, it now comes out of the top. If you do have the island, you will also get this feature as well. That is a really nice change. And now you can see whenever I swipe up to dismiss it, it doesn't dismiss like it does, or it did that time. For whatever reason, the prior time it wasn't dismissing, but it is working more properly. Another feature I should point out is within iOS 27, the feedback app in beta 3 now has sort of the new, or rather it switched back to the old look. So I don't know if this is a bug or if Apple intended to do this, though I don't mind it because I actually like the old feedback icon, though I like the new one as well. I like both of them. So this is the feedback app. It switched to the more flatter icon that we had with iOS 18 in older versions. Now, if I go to the far right page and we tap on our widgets, and we go to the full-size weather widget, we now have a full-size weather widget. That's new within iOS 27 Beta 3, or within iOS 27 in general. Within wallpapers, we have new wallpapers. We have new variations for light and dark. And we also have a wallpaper that will match your iPhone's color. So I have the product red iPhone 12. You can also play around with these different colors. There are multiple color variations of the default iOS 27 wallpaper. So if you want a blue one, you can have a blue one. If you want a dark one, you can get a dark one. If you want an orange one, you can have that as well. These are multiple fun colors of the iOS 27 default wallpaper. I think it's really great that Apple added this feature. It is really nice. Now, another feature that was added in beta 3 has to do with if you have a picture of food. So within this picture of food that I took, if I go to this little lookup icon right here, you can see we have a fork and knife option. If we click on that, as you can see, we are getting sort of results of what the food is. That is a really nice feature within iOS 27, and a lot of these are definitely my favorite features. As far as any other features, well, you do get minor tweaks to Apple Music, like if you have a favorites list, it no longer will have sort of a circle around the favorite icon, though I don't have an Apple Music subscription to show that. And there is minor tweaks to the control center, where if it says 5G, it will say Wi-Fi and then 5G, though this phone is no longer connected to a cellular network anymore, as my iPhone 14 is, which is on iOS 26.6 beta 4. As far as any other features, well, iOS 27 doesn't bring a ton of features for the iPhone. Other than those features I mentioned for older phones, you get a lot more with Apple Intelligence devices. Now, I was going to screen record this video, but I thought about recording it with my iPhone. As a lot of the time, sometimes when I screen record, the iPhone gets overheated and it will definitely mess up the audio. The audio will end before the video does. That's a side effect when the iPhone lags, as this is an older device, even older than my 14. So right now, performance is pretty good on this particular device. Performance is really great. And overall, it is a really great performance is really great for the iPhone. It works really good with this particular device. Though there is lots of times where it will lag. Like if I were to screen record this, it will be choppy and definitely laggy. It can even lag when I'm not screen recording. That's how beta software or software in general works. The one thing I can't usually test when screen recording is Face ID speed. So if I go ahead and turn off the device, as you see here, Face ID works nice and fast. If you go ahead and do it again, Face ID does work nice and fast. That is a really nice feature within iOS 27 beta 3 or iOS 27 in general. As far as when to expect the iOS 27 public beta, well, I would expect that next week. In fact, I would expect that the week of July 13th. Not only would I expect that, but I would also expect iOS 27 beta 3 re-release. Now, I shared a bug. If you are trying to install iOS 27, so if I go into YouTube here, for some reason it wasn't registering my tap. Maybe I was looking through the camera. But if I go into my channel, I took this screenshot on my iPhone 14, though I wasn't going to install the beta. I just like to look at the update screenshot. And when I did that, it took forever to load. And then when it loaded, I timed it and it took about 33 seconds. When it did eventually load, however, the update was showing up without the build number, or not the build number, but without the descriptive text, not even saying beta 3. It showed up as iOS 27.0 without showing the update. It showed the 6.33 gigabyte update page without showing the descriptive text and just saying update now. So I thought I should mention that. Leave a comment down below if you are facing that while trying to get iOS 27 I just thought I should mention that. However, we will get the public beta next week with beta 4 around the 20th or a beta 3 re-release next week. We will have betas all throughout August, weekly schedule. I will install beta 8 around the 24th on my main iPhone with a final release expected in September. As far as anything else, well, my honest opinion on iOS 27, I think it's a great software, though for older devices, it's also great. It will perform pretty great. Apps will open 30% faster, and overall, you will have a faster iPhone overall. Now, I wish Apple could have given more features to older phones, though unfortunately, all those features I mentioned is what's available on older iPhones. If you have an iPhone 15 Pro or newer, you're getting Apple Intelligence features, a whole lot more, with wallpaper generations and so much more. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Mr. Hawkins with the Tech Rundown, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.